Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to The Reason We Learn. Welcome to The Reason We Learn. I'm your host, Deb Philman, and today we have part 5 of defund.gov. We are having a little bit of a technical difficulty with sharing screens for some reason on my end. So Anne is busily figuring out how to do that to get this show going. But what hi, Anne. She's still working on it. But I want to answer this question from CL. Is this an organic channel or is it funded by an invisible donor? A genuine question. Also, are you aware that Carl Marsenko is making videos on you? Yada, yada, yada. Okay, let me address those in order. First, it is 100% organic. I am a mom and a homeschool parent and a person who a couple years ago decided that I wasn't making any progress locally in my community and I was going to just take to the internet and see if I could get stuff out to parents. I knew that there were parents who would be interested in this, and that's right before COVID or at the very beginnings of COVID, and then everything just blew up. So it is organic, 100%. I do not have invisible donors unless you count the good people who are members of this channel, and there are about 7 or 8 of you. And the people who have donated to my PayPal or the people who have joined my locals, which is about 75 people. So I don't have a lot of funding. It's I don't make any money, basically. This is a labor of love for my country and for children and for reality and truth and the American way and all that stuff. And I have been a libertarian my whole life, just so you know. So I'm not a Johnny come lately to defending liberty or defending the Constitution. I was during my college years, I can't believe I'm just divulging all this, but just so you might as well know the whole story. I was a Republican, and because we didn't really have like a libertarian group on campus. There were maybe 7 of us in my entire college campus in 1987 or 83 to 87. But then as I got older, after Reagan was out of office and, Bill Clinton, I was like, I don't know, the Republican Party is, it's not like I left. They kind of left me over time. I just didn't feel like they were defending liberty enough, to be honest. And I kind of moved over more towards libertarian with small L. I'm not a super partisan person, but yes, I'm aware of what that individual is doing and saying. And all I'm going to say about that is that it began out of nowhere. I did used to do work with her in good faith.
Lord, this chick. Sorry, I'm just reading the comment.
Yeah, and out of nowhere, well, it's not really out of nowhere. I'll be very honest about it. I have nothing to hide. I noticed some views that were coming up specifically about Hitler and the Holocaust, and everyone in America is entitled to their spiritual views. I don't begrudge that. It's not what I believe. It's not what I agree with. And I'm a Jew and I didn't want to be associated. I didn't personally agree. I'm not one who takes offense lightly, but I didn't care for that, about people choosing to die in the Holocaust. And I just said, yeah, I don't really want to be affiliated with that person.
What?
Yeah, this is just giving the background to CL. And so I kind of just quietly disappeared, just kind of moved on my merry way, live and let live, right? And I was then accused of intellectual property theft or something with no evidence for anything I had stolen, which was bizarre. I spoke up in defense of myself and other people who'd been accused. And since then, it has been an ongoing campaign of harassment and defamation against me, my character, my family, my reputation. I'm well aware of it. It's all untrue, but I'm not going to sully this broadcast with any further discussion of it. But I hope that answers your question. This channel is 100% organic. I still have to have a day job. Yeah, I still have to have a day job besides this on the margins, writing and doing things to try to keep the lights on and pay for the software that runs this show. So yeah, anybody who wants to contribute, please feel free, because I don't do a whole lot of hitting people up for money. But no, I don't have any big donors at all. So I have I have little teeny tiny donors. Eagle Brain is one. Eagle Brain, I love you. See, Eagle Brain's a member of the channel. There's my hidden donor. Eagle Brain is my hidden donor. Bless you. So that's it. She is small.
Wait, has she put something out there that you are secretly funded by the people?
I don't know. I don't care.
The people that we slam all day.
It's pretty transparent. I'm what you see is what you get. Literally what you see is what you get. And if you ever have any questions about me, feel free to hit me up just as CL did, or you can come into my, private messages to ask me. I am very forward. I'm transparent. I have nothing to hide. And that's it.
But it's bizarre for people like to be confronted or talk to people who are like, I think you and I are very much alike, that like it or not, this is what you're going to get.
Yeah, really. And I mean, here's the thing too, is that if anyone ever suspected that I stole their ideas, I would hope they would come to me.
You're still going to have to explain that to me one day.
I would hope they would come to me privately and say like, hey,
right,
did you take my stuff? And why did you take my stuff? And why didn't you credit me? Whatever. And I would be like, whoa, I didn't mean to take her stuff. Whatever. But in this particular case, I took nothing. Nothing was ever even said. See this? She took this. Like there was nothing ever shown. And so now it's like, let's see, what am I up to lately? I hate my children. My husband left me. Everybody hates me. I'm a heartbeat. Oh wait, there's more. It gets very lewd and lascivious. I won't go into it. But
you said that she used to be a liberal. This person.
People do change. I'm just
saying that
I'm not going to throw people under the bus. People do change.
I know. But I'm just saying that like that's people. That's just not behavior.
Let's not give any more of this broadcast over to gossip.
Okay.
Suffice to say, this is an organic channel. It is self-funded and or donation funded, and beyond that, I am fully aware of people talking about me behind my back, in front of my face, whatever you want.
Really? I just got kicked out of a school board meeting because of it.
And and like I said, my feeling is like anyone who believes all that and doesn't go and check out like against evidence, bye. I really don't need you in my audience. All right. So today, let me see if I can set this up, Anne.
Okay.
Did you I see your screen, so we're good. What Anne found, quite simply, is evidence that there is a micro school experiment going on, funded by ESSER funds, which is federal government money from COVID. Remember, that was all about COVID.
You want to do the run through real quick?
Yeah, we will. I'm just going to give them the quick lowdown, because I want to set something up about micro schools really fast before we go into this. No confusion.
Because I almost was like,
right. Okay. So a micro school. What is a micro school? You may have heard me talk about it here on this channel because I'm a big proponent of education freedom. Some people call that school choice. I don't like the term school choice because it has school in it, which implies
that too for me, because I got into it because
no problem. Okay,
we were in a discussion and they were like, "Oh, school choice." But what does that mean? Like, because we have choice, is that we can homeschool, but there's other places that don't. Right. Do you mean vouchers? Do you mean
exactly? And that's the problem. It's like a big term.
We need Virginia need to know that.
Right. Okay. So everybody listen up. School choice, which you're going to hear a lot about in the coming months because of the midterms. And politicians love to tell you, school choice, I'm for school choice. Okay, well, what does that mean, Mr. Politician, Ms. Politician? Okay, right now you have some choice, right? You could send your kid to the public school for which you are zoned, like your zip code or however your district works it out. You may have a magnet system. You can apply in a lottery. You may have charter schools. You can apply in a lottery, which gives you like a little bit of choice. You could send your children to private school. You could homeschool. Okay. So those are the choices you currently have. And a lot of people don't consider them choices for two reasons. One, they feel like, well, you took my property taxes, so I don't have a choice but to fund the public system, whether I use it or not. So that's the first thing that people get caught up in, is that it's not a real choice because you took my money and now I got to pay double if it's private or something else. The second one is, if it's a lottery, it's not really my choice, because what if I don't get in? The odds are I won't, because there are more kids who want to go than there are spaces in the lottery system. Same with magnet systems. So if it's like most schools in America right now, where you're zoned and they draw lines and it's pretty strict, and you go here, you can't just go across town. We don't have what's called ISDs anymore, independent school districts.
Other ways to do it?
There used to be. Absolutely, there used to be. Yeah. So in some states, but now it's like, nope, this is where you go. And you best not even attempt to get like mail at your cousin's house so you could go to the other school. Like they could catch you and throw you out. So at least where I live. So a lot of people say that's not really choice, because I'm stuck in my zip code. I'm stuck with money that's gone. Okay. So politicians come along and say, we want school choice. And generally speaking, they mean one of two things. They mean they want you to be able to get a voucher, which is like a little coupon for a bunch of dollars that you can take to a private school. Usually it's to a private school, like a parochial school or a private school. And it usually won't cover the whole cost, but it'll cover some of it. And that's usually what they mean. Lately, they've been talking a lot about what they call dollars follow the kids, which is sort of like vouchers, but now they're going to say, well, you could take it to homeschool too, instead of just to a public or a private school. But it's still going to run through the government. In other words, a voucher is still going to be administered by the government. There's still going to be an infrastructure where the government has like a little bureaucrat going, here's your voucher.
I'm just not going to not pay my taxes anymore.
Right. You still pay your taxes.
Right.
But you're still paying them. They're just doling out a little bit to you and going, here you go. It's some more. And you take this little piece of paper. And it's got strings attached. So the school will have to be accredited by the government, and the school will have to do this and have to do that. And it's just another way for the government to control what your kid is going to learn and give you the illusion of choice. So people like me, I mean, some people support vouchers. I do not. I do not, for that exact reason, because that's how you end up with Catholic schools teaching equity, diversity, equity, inclusion, and SEL, because there are vouchers in many places for Catholic schools. So, but they'll call that school choice. Another model for school choice is straight up education savings account, where the legislature passes a law that says you put on your taxes. I had my kid at home, or I put my kid in my own private little micro school or pod or private school or a co-op or whatever. And I use this many dollars, and, you know, I don't pay that much in taxes, whether it's at the state level or the federal level, and you get some kind of, or I deposited it in an account tax-free, and it's kind of like a wash. Okay. You're still going to pay your property taxes, but you get like your health savings account. You do pre-tax dollars for education. That might be another model for school choice. Now, a micro school, people like me who support educational freedom and homeschooling have said, hey, the micro school phenomenon is a good thing, meaning private companies or even private individuals starting little bitty schools of, 20 kids or 30 kids. And there have been companies that have sprung up privately funded with venture capital money to say, hey, we'll create the infrastructure, the communication system, the whatever for you guys to like set up your little administration of your little baby school, and it'll be all in the up and up. You got to hire teachers and you got to, get that set up, but you can have your own little school and it'll all, be good where that's legal. And a lot of people thought that's great. That's an avenue to have socialization and have school, but not be under the government's thumb. Okay. And it'll be cheaper than private school. Sounded great, right? Okay. What Anne has turned up is that during the pandemic, a company, there are a couple things have happened. One company that has been, I've even mentioned on my show, it's called Prenda, right? Is that what it is? Prenda? That created one of these micro school kind of structures, was able to set up pods and micro schools for kids who are locked out of their schools because of COVID using ESSER funds. And the reason that's a little dicey, I mean, we could sort of say it's okay because, hey, the schools were closed and the parents needed something. So using money that was otherwise going to go to COVID relief sort of makes sense, even though it's a private corporation or, whatever. But I'm going to be keeping my eye on that, because we don't want that to continue. Because if you've been watching this show or this channel, you know that the government has been like this with a lot of private companies and foundations and whatever. And when they get together, they have a tendency to get their little goals aligned. And suddenly the private thing you thought was going to save you from the public thing becomes the public thing.
Right.
Even though it's privately run, it's getting money, therefore it's getting influence. So that's something to watch. And part of why we're getting like little red warning flags going up is Anne found that there is an experimental school now is it Wisconsin? I think it's Wisconsin.
It's Madison. Yes.
Yeah. Madison, Wisconsin. That is not just a little micro school within the public system, meaning funded by public dollars, but it's segregated and it's anti-racist. And I hope everybody watching understands that's a little bit unconstitutional. Yeah. Public funding of a segregated school, private funding of a segregated school obviously is totally fine. And some people will say, well, we're already publicly funding the historically Black colleges. Yes, but they're not segregated. You could go to Howard University as a white person. Right. You could. They're just historically Black. They're not going to say you can't come here. It's just typically people don't. This school that Anne found, right, It is exclusively
for Black, brown, Latinx,
non-white. Let's just cut to the chase.
Yes.
Not white people. So what do you want to show first? Do you want to go backwards a little bit? Do you want to show the Madison thing? How do you want to do this?
Let's just go real quickly through what we just, and I won't digress. That's why I made the slides. So, all right. So
Uh-oh. Where'd you go? She left. If you guys have questions so far, I know that I just threw a lot of info at you. Feel free to throw it in the comments because it's kind of a lot. It's kind of a lot. You obviously have state funding, federal funding, and remember,
that's what I get.
I was like, bye. Federal funding is there ostensibly to keep everything equal. That's why it's there. It's the only justification for ed.gov is to make sure that the states and the public schools can adhere to the civil right, the law for disabled kids, for special needs kids, Title IX, Title I, all the different things that are basically federal mandates as far as equality, as far as making sure everybody is truly getting an equal education since the Civil Rights Act. And even though Jimmy Carter put it in place, the justification was, well, we can't put unfunded mandates on the states. We can't tell them they have to provide a free and fair and equal education to every child with special needs as a federal law. If we don't also provide funding for that, that wouldn't be right. So that justified funding the Department of Education and having it dole out money. But it's now becoming a system of bribes and extortion where they take our federal tax dollars and they go, we'd love to give you this giant pot of cash, Governor so-and-so, but you're going to have to do this equity plan, Civic Secures Democracy plan, SEL plan, BIPOC, DEI, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to take the money. It's optional. It's $100 billion, but you don't have to take it. So how many governors do you know, red or blue, are going to say, no, I'm not taking billions of dollars for my public school system. Good luck explaining that one on the evening news. So you kind of see how that works. And then, of course, the Department of Education and the CDC.
How do I share with one screen is the problem. Oh, there it is. Okay. So everybody from the beginning to the top. So the CARES Act, which is the Corona Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, was Trump. He did that in March 2020. And it was, so it was called the elementary, this was K through 12. The elementary, that's where your ESSER, elementary and secondary emergency relief funding. And that was $13.58 billion. And then there was round two. Now you'll see December 21st, 2020, which had already happened, the election. And so you'll see a huge jump. So we probably know that Pelosi or somebody, because Trump did not sign this. I know that much. Because this is the one that Congress put through, not the president. So this one is the same, except instead of CARES, which was strictly for the cleaning of the buildings, the HVAC, and that kind of stuff. This one added on the stipulations of a certain percent must be used towards recovery of loss of learning. And so, of course, you're like, well, of course, why wouldn't we not know that? But it jumped significantly. And then came the American Rescue Plan Act, which some people call ARPA, but I call it ARP. Right. And that is the one that you can see it jumped to. Now, this is just K through 12. You have to also take into account that, and we can see it here, that there was GEAR, which is the governor's relief money. Then you have the HERE money, which is where the higher education, when you're seeing all this madness going on in colleges now, that's where that's coming from, is the colleges got paid. And then you started hearing about private schools masking kids. And I was one of those parents that almost sent my daughter paying $9,000 a year because I didn't want her to wear a mask last year. And they masked that school anyway. And it happened preschools everywhere. Right. And that's when something called maintenance of effort and maintenance of equity. Remember you asked me what EONS was? Yeah. And that was the equitable something distribution, but that was so that it was, even though parents pay already to send their kids to these schools. It wasn't nice and it wasn't right. So that's why you have all of these woke schools now, and you have the kids getting masked. But they bought off the colleges, they bought off preschools, they bought off private education.
Can I say something? Okay, I'm so glad you brought this up, because with this EANs and the here and all that, because COVID created the perfect scenario for the government to justify giving public funds to private institutions with strings attached, to get them nice and used to it, right? Get them used to like, ooh, look, big dollars, right? And because they closed all the schools by, federal and state mandates, they could justify it. They could say, oh, well, since we closed the schools for health reasons, we're going to have to throw them some money, because the schools weren't turning around and giving people refunds. They weren't saying to the parents like, oh, I know you paid tuition for a whole year, but here you go. So the government comes in and bails them out. Do you think the schools needed that money? I mean, like the ones that got paid tuition, but they
they're
took
freaking
it.
out. They're like, I mean, I went to our board of supervisors meeting. What are we going to do in 2024 when this money's gone?
Right.
Well,
why did you come to count on it?
But I know that my county is fully funded for the next 2 years. Right. And as screwed up as Cardona is, there is, after paper manual that says this is not to be used.
Mountains of cash. Don't ever, if it come this election time, when they tell you they don't have enough money, they have more than enough. It's all about distribution. And remember something, the teachers are being exploited. The teachers are the one. Now you guys we can criticize TikTok teachers all day long. Okay, I'll join you in that when they're jumping on TikTok and being crazy. However, your average teacher is not seeing their pay go up. They're not seeing any of this money. It's going to social workers. It's going to all of these mental health counselors. It's going to all this SEL and DEI staff and all of this, consultants and private corporations and all of this. And so why? They don't want to reward the teachers, because then the teachers won't have a reason to go screaming at the union going, we're aggrieved, we're aggrieved. So they've got to keep the teachers good and aggrieved, because that's the largest population. They spend the money on all this DEI junk. Okay. And we know, if there's research for one thing, parents, it's that tier 1 supports, that means teachers in the classroom, are, supporting them, giving them what they need, giving them the ability to discipline, giving them the freedom they need to do curriculum stuff, getting out of their faces with extra things. That is the shortest distance to closing achievement gaps. There is evidence that tier 1 supports improves outcomes. Tier 2 and tier 3, no, there's no evidence that SEL does anything. There's no evidence that social workers are improving outcomes, but they are spending gobs of money on it, and they're going to keep doing it. But what this did was this created the justification crisis for public funding of private institutions, right, with strings attached.
But for people that don't understand either, is that when we talk about Build Back Better and the pandemic relief money, is that's what we're talking about here. This is just the education portion of it. Biden in ARP alone, I say he bought the country for $2 trillion. So your board of supervisors took money, your county, your city. I'm going to send you the link, Deb, and have you pull it. You can pull it up. I'd send it in chat, right? I found a matrix that can put in.
If I can actually show my screen, I'll have to put it. If it's a link, I put it in Chrome.
Okay. But I will show it to you. And I don't know how, this is one of those things. It's amazing. You can put, it has tabs for everything. And then you can pick your state and it'll tell you your county. So we can have people shout out where they live and we can tell them, oh, this is what you got. This is what you got. But the important thing to remember is that all of the documents, and again, if you go on vafcf.org, there's an ESSER tab, and I have started uploading all these manuals that I talk about over and over, and this neat little thing we're going to show you is on there. But everybody got bought off. I read the 600-page legislation on this. It's whatever your state is, General Assembly Allocation Act. Look it up. Sloan and I went through North Carolina's. Northam signed off for $10 million of pandemic relief fund money so that the November 2nd election, so that it could be safe and that they could try to get Sunday ballots and the mail-in ballot. $10 million of what was supposed to be I'm not kidding. I found it in the North Carolina General Assembly too, and I sent it to Slim. But so 600 pages you read, but it's $10 million of the money that pandemic relief. $10 million got to election integrity.
I'm just trying to see if I can see this. I don't know why I can't see the workbook. It's not opening it.
Can you go to my website and pull it up?
It's just not opening the right tab. Hang on. Huh.
Well, they can.
I mean, I pulled it up. I'm looking right at it. It just won't show me all the tabs. Something is askew. So, but let's go back to this. All right. Yeah. So this is
this. So then this kind of shows you. So this here, that'll break down what gear is. And again, I'll up this. So it's like 3 million here. I can't see under my thingy, but under gear, and so in the next slide, we'll show you how that got distributed. And then eons right here in the third in ARP. Let me do the clicking. So here, eons, that's the emergency. It's too small, but that's what they use instead of gear money. That's the payoff for that's the private schools and stuff. But here, so you'll see the difference between the K through 12 and the governors is that the K through 12 went straight to your SEA, which is your VDOE, your Department of Education. And then they just get 90% went to your county, your whoever school board. Everybody held 10% back. So that's sitting there like for whatever they want to buy more longitudinal data stuff. Who knows? But they're holding 10% back. And then from there, they distributed it to the schools. Now, when you pull up stuff, it'll tell you, oh, everybody got $2,000 per pupil. No, they did it based on Title I. So it was not ever evenly distributed. That's why we have a county with 8 times in Virginia, 8 times more children than St. Petersburg that has this many children, but they got $10,000 per pupil compared to. And so that's maintenance of equity is they didn't ever want what kids that more affluent kids they're already affluent, so they don't need as much money. So that goes back to the whole thing of what wasn't everybody affected by. How are you determining who was affected and who wasn't? So just to be clear on when it says that equity, it was not done per pupil like all the stuff tells you. Is that it was done based on Title I, and that was added in on the 3rd production. They had to go back and rewrite ARP 3 times, and that's why. And so the gear money went to the governor. And then the governor decided where it was going to go to either your county or the higher education. So it was the governor's money did not go through your state Department of Education. And then here's the totals. So ESSER 1 education and for K through 12, and then governors, and then ESSER 2 was 82 total. Because let's see, private. Oh, there's private K through 12, and then $4 billion for governor's money, and then it totaling up. It was 129 total, and let's see. No, wait. Yeah, so that was education total. That's not including higher education. So that would be K through 12, and that's also not. There was McKinney something, the homeless. There's some states that had that got money. Like Virginia got $800,000 for like homeless kids, children, IDEA, all that stuff. It's added in over here, but.
So this is like, just so everybody kind of understands, this is the breakdown of the money and where it went and what it was for. And so you can already see that it was not like evenly distributed. Is that largely, Anne, because different districts within the state had to apply for grants? Like I had to say, like, give me some of that money to their state board of ed?
I pulled up, you can go on EdGov and I will share that too. I can do that in a minute and you can share or whenever, but you can pull up your state and, you can even pull up your superintendent for your state and see their actual application for each one. And you can read like Virginia, because James Lane is now under Miguel Cardona, number 2. He went straight from the county I live in to the VDOE to now working under Cardona in 5 years. But so you can see the application and it's questions like in importance, who are your priorities? And you can see how your state superintendent thinks about And they had to do it based on what they knew Mark Cardona wanted. It was one of those things that, but the applications, especially like this is where people say, well, did, DeSantis, like Ducey, how did they play into it? Well, everybody got 2/3 of their cut up front with the expectation that you're going to send in your application and then you're going to get the rest of it. And DeSantis was like, nope, like not doing it. And so
and that's gutsy. That's gutsy because then he had to turn around.
He's the only one that didn't cave because Ducey caved, Tennessee caved. There's 7 states that who were not playing that game. Right. There's even a couple counties in this. Now I say a couple out of the whole nation that said, I don't want your money. Like that's gutsy. Like they told them, we know, I mean, and one was in Texas, but that said, we know what this is. Nope. Right.
But that's why, and the thing is, that's what it takes, though. It takes your governor to be that gutsy to say, we're not doing this with these strings attached, because all of this money, when they filled out those applications, they had to, certainly for the ESSER 3, it had to include this SEL stuff that we've been talking about all, forever and ever, right? What do you want to show them this micro school that they used ESSER money for? Or do you want to keep going with more stuff here?
Well, we'll come back to this, but this is the thing. We can click on this, and this is what I sent you, but I put it in the slideshow, so you can click on that, and then we can open up the window. But yeah, if you want to go all the way, I think it's towards the end.
I mean, that screen I can get up, and I can get it up. Okay. Yeah, okay. That one I can do. So let's see if we can watch this video. Hang on one quick second.
Your jaws are going to drop. Like
this
came up in my Google, because Google, algorithms, they only put education stuff up. Now they don't realize that in tracking me, they gave me this 2 days ago. This came out.
All right, here we go. This is pretty mind blowing. All right.
Do you have the other one? Okay.
Wait a minute. I got to make sure you guys hear the sound and it's muted. Hold on.
This morning, Milwaukee's Finest program is underway to raise money for the CF Foundation, helping to raise awareness and funds to treat cystic fibrosis. Joining us this morning to talk more about the program's upcoming...
This isn't the one. Is it the same clip?
Hold on. It's a different state. Pull up.
It says Madison School District. Oh, here. I got it.
Okay.
Here, I'll do this one. Let's do, we got to do this other thing. Hold on. Let me stop this one. Because it's like it had this
page. Right? Can you pull that? No, you can't pull it up, can you? The slide that I have
can.
Up right now.
I just can't do it with sound. Let me do this one with sound. This one will do it.
With
that one.
Confident design.
Oh, great. We got to
add
logo.
Hang on. When it comes past the ad, but this is, you can see Madison, Wisconsin, 1 teacher, 4 students. That's the ratio you don't see in public schools. And
the school district is testing out an unconventional school. In their words, they want to disrupt system inequalities for black and brown students.
In a special Eye on Education this morning, we're taking a closer look at this pilot program called the Anti-Racist Learning Lab. The district is paying for it with federal stimulus money. In the brochure, they're recruiting Black, Indigenous, Latinx, and Asian American middle schoolers who feel like school isn't for them.
Hello. I'm sorry. I have to pause. They're recruiting Black, brown, Latino, and Indigenous students. You guys heard that, right? You please tell me.
I read it when I sent it to you. I read it. I didn't even watch it until today. I thought the reading of it was bad, and I was like, "Oh, what?" But until I was like,
and listen to the guy's delivery, like, who feel like school is just not for them. All right, let's continue.
And they want to say in what they learn. I'll admit, it's a school unlike any I'd ever seen.
Because you were born after desegregation.
Inside this building, just off East Wash, in one small room, is an entire school.
What makes it different is that it's trying to rethink how schools could be.
The Madison School District calls it a micro school. 1 teacher, 4 students.
It is for like anti-racist learning, and that centers around the students a lot, their interests, their voices.
The Anti-Racist Learning Lab, or All In School, was created in response to a survey of district students.
There
Survey
was
students.
a lack of sense of belonging, particularly for students of color.
Maxine McKinney DeRoyston is a co-designer. She's a published researcher of race in education and an assistant professor at UW-Madison.
And the most upsetting to me was that they didn't feel like it was a place that they could learn.
Nakong is an 8th grader in the program.
They teach us about racial profiling and, basically racial, discrimination and all that.
They teach us about racial profiling and racial discrimination. They teach them that. They don't teach, they can't learn in the other schools. So they go to this school to learn about how the world is so racist. I can't imagine why they're feeling like they don't belong. Oh my God. I mean,
Now, meanwhile, this is in the same building where they probably have 30 kids jammed into tiny classrooms with no aids for their sped kids, none of that. But this blatant illegal, like, I don't even know what the words for it. Like,
well, it's a violation of the civil rights of not only these students, but all the other students.
yes.
They're using federal tax dollars, crisis tax dollars that are supposed to address COVID crisis. I'm sorry, but getting these 4 students to provide research data, which it isn't really, you can't research on a sample of 4. That's ridiculous. Not only that, it's unethical to research on students' education in real time after 2 years of learning loss. This is just beyond.
Oh, wait, it gets worse. It gets worse. If it's possible. They don't teach math because why?
Okay, wait. Oh, yeah, here we go.
All that stuff. How Black people are mostly the target for racial profiling.
The district says it's using federal COVID funding to pay for the program because the pandemic has disproportionately impacted racially minoritized communities in Madison. And the micro school seeks to rethink schools in ways which disrupt inequities and differential impacts.
That has nothing to do with America. No, like literally, that's not what the Constitution says. The Constitution doesn't say you will get an education that disrupts inequities and to make sure that you're. No, it doesn't say that. It says, it actually doesn't say anything about education, but all subsequent legislation that has been passed, has been about equal access, equal opportunity, equal everything, because this is America and we don't discriminate even to your benefit. We don't do that. This is blatantly unconstitutional.
The structure is also unconventional. The school day starts later. There are 2 parts of the day blocked off for learning. There's no math or science class. It's more experience-based, where different subjects are blended in. Here, they're making paper roller coasters, but not just focused on physics. Students here also have a big say in what they learn about.
If we want to learn about food, we'll learn about food. If we want to learn about anything, basically, we can learn about it.
What's that like, teaching with students deciding what's being taught?
Yeah, I think it's like really exciting just as a teacher too, to like see that students are excited about what they're learning.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you let people, just decide whatever they want to do all day.
I would like to learn how to bong a beer this weekend. Like, I'm sorry, but like, on what planet? And I have to make light of this because whenever I hear this, I say, on what planet do people live where you let a child decide what they want to learn, much less, we haven't got to the best part. Guess how they hit it when they equate how they learn math. This will blow you away.
But I do want to say something because there will be people out there go, wait a minute, I'm an unschooler and my kids have a lot of say in that. Yeah, okay. That's a very different thing than this. First of all, you're not using public dollars, so you can do whatever the hell you want. Secondly, and it might work out great for you because your child might have been doing it since they were 6 and it's a whole different ball of wax. And they're also not being led by, well, it's kind of like great, like, kind of like, because like, so they're being led by you. But also there's, they have an obligation. They tell us all the time as homeschoolers, you parents don't know what you're doing. You couldn't, we're the experts. We know what children should learn. You couldn't possibly know what children should learn in your home and in your own. You can't choose. We choose.
Well,
we're the
guess
experts.
what?
Well, the children are deciding. Okay, what? I'm sorry, come again? We parents shouldn't do it ourselves because why again? What?
So every homeschooling parent, here you go. You can just
Okay,
shove
let's
this.
keep going.
as far as their interest or learning about people who have the same background as them.
Our hope is
Definitely let's keep learning about people who have the same background as us, not people who
Right.
have different backgrounds. That's so very anti-racist to learn about people who have the same background but not different. What would you do? What would you do if they said we're going to have a white school for the white kids so they can learn about, people with backgrounds similar to theirs? How fast would your head explode?
That
We're
would
going to
be
spend
called-
federal dollars
This
on a
is
white
not,
school.
what is this, resegregation? I mean, I'm sorry, but this is everything that
next year.
Yeah,
civil
this is
rights was-
everything. Yeah.
I've said it before, is that these people, and I'm going to get to in a second when we're done with this, what the data mining piece has to do with it. We're going to talk about how this, like welfare, serves no children, especially these children they're claiming that they're helping. Like,
How are they helping these children? Where are they going to go with their, I made a roller coaster out of paper plates? How's that going to help them? Okay, let's keep going.
Next year, that'll also be a place that administrators, teachers, and families can come and see how school could be done differently, what kinds of things we might change, and how they might take that back to their own respective school environments.
Aha. Catching
Sweet.
on?
sweet. That's just what we need.
Yeah.
The all-in micro school will need approval to continue on into next school year.
How well-rounded?
Did I miss
is the
it?
class?
She said that they don't
that's a
teach
good question.
math because, or it might have been the other one that we didn't get to. They don't teach math because when they cook, they measure stuff. Was that?
Yeah, I want to show that one because it the only reason that it didn't work was they had that other video. So that's what
Okay.
it was. It was just like they had, an ad and then they had a bunch of goofy stuff. So let me see if I can refresh this. And of course we got the ad. So I'm going to wait for the ad to go through. But yeah, they do say a couple of different things. But it's really quite extraordinary. So there's a little ad
to
going.
hear it. Like,
Yeah, and to hear the news people going, and they don't do this and they're doing that, and it's a school like no other I've ever seen, and you're like, yeah, that there's a reason for that.
I've had some good finds this week.
There we go.
Madison School District is testing out a micro school. Now it's meant to
Micro.
qualities for Black and Brown students. The Anti-Racist Learning Lab, or micro school, was created in response to a survey of district students.
There was a lack of sense of belonging, particularly for students of color. And the most upsetting to me was that they didn't feel like it was a place that they could learn.
There are just 4 students and 1 teacher in one room discussing racial profiling and discrimination. The district says it's using federal COVID funding to pay for the program because the pandemic has disproportionately impacted racially minoritized communities in Madison.
Minoritized
Micro school will need
communities.
approval to continue into the next school year.
This morning, Milwaukee's Finest program is
Okay.
underway to raise money for the CF Foundation.
So I guess that was it. They didn't say anything about the cooking, but
If we watched all 4 minutes, but it was in there because I read it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Maybe it
or
was
it might
in
be in it might be in the actual article
in the
of
written
the
part,
other, yeah. Of
it
the
might
other
be
one.
the other one.
I don't know.
Yeah, but this
definitely in there.
is crazy. This is crazy. I'm sorry. And like I said, I'm all about, involving students and how they're learning and so forth. But these are kids who said they didn't feel comfortable at school. They're probably not doing all that well. And what are they doing to make sure that their skills are up to speed? This is just not every justification that I've ever been given for having a public system was we have an obligation to make sure our citizens can read. We have an obligation to make sure our citizens can do basic math. They can't function out in the world if we can't do that. And that's in our benefit as a society that we have voting population that can do basic math and can read properly. And you're doing them a disservice and it's not good for you. You should want to pay for this. You should want to contribute to this, etc. Oh, and P.S. you can't homeschool because you're not the expert. And then the students had a survey and they didn't feel like they liked it. And so
Yes,
we
it
said,
was a
let's
student
away all day.
survey. It was a student survey, not a parent survey. They
Not even a
surveyed
teacher survey.
middle schoolers, and they said that they didn't feel like
Right.
What?
And this is a really good point that Ego Brain makes. Thank you for bringing this up, because I made this point at the beginning, and for anyone who joined late. So a micro school was always done by homeschoolers. I don't think it's a coincidence that that's what they're labeling this. They want people to think public when they hear micro school. Bingo. You got it. And Anne, what do you suspect? No, we can't prove it. So just let's disclaimer, we can't prove it. And it's not really a conspiracy theory. It's a theory, period, based on evidence. And why do you think they might want to break the kids into teeny tiny little setups where they're mostly maybe on computers or working, like in different areas, doing different things, but, still funded by federal dollars? What do you think the next move is going to be with these little micro schools?
Well, the point is that it's like 21st century skills is another big one that people, when you read that, it sounds like, okay, it can't be so bad. But it's like that infograph, Pinterest. I'm telling you what, go on Pinterest, because they will tell you exactly what you can't find on the internet, because teachers pay teachers and all these, they make these things that blatantly tell you what you can't find on the internet. But bring AI into your school. And the data mining, is that what they're doing with these pod schools is that they are dumbing education to a level to where they're collecting the data that these kids over here. And it's like why, the drive for global citizenship and workforce ready is that no, not all children are meant to go to college, but that doesn't mean that you completely obliterate academics, because guess what? I said, who's going to be doing brain surgery in 20 years? Robots. Exactly. Who's going to be teaching? All of these programs that they have, Word Dojo or Class Dojo is a big one, Lexia, whatever your Chromebook tracking your child has, is the amounts of data that we talk about, that it is in the contracts. Go to your government page, pull your procurement and pull the contracts and read them. The data goes to the third party. That's where Obama obliterating FERPA came in. But the amounts of data and is that they're why? Because guess what? You're going to go and try to get a job in 20 years, and they're going to see your EQ or this locker of data that you didn't know existed because they're doing monthly mental assessments through these programs and the thing on your children. And so your child has a bad year that your parents get divorced. Well, you're now deemed mentally, and it's going to show up 20 years from now when you try to get into whatever you're going to get. So they are predetermining, and this is where the equity thing comes in, is because if you think that these elitists, Chan Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, the ones funding this stuff, are doing the world population control people, are doing any of this to better people? No. And I'm going to say it, and I don't care if you call me a racist, because I'm not. Plantation worldwide, not just Plantation 2.0, but is that it's education welfare. They're locking people into something.
And they're going to create these things like they did out here in North Carolina in 2019. This is an IBM funded little micro school right there inside a brick and mortar school. And you might say, okay, well, IBM is, partnering and doing this, and it's all about data. Of course. Yeah. What's a better, faster way to collect student data so they can get cradle to grave data on these kids? And, isn't it great? We get this infusion of cash from IBM. And you might think, well, that's good. At least it's not tax money. Well, it is tax money though, because they're taking their money, putting it into the public system, using the goodwill and everything, not to mention the conscripted presence of the student who has to be there on, to do a little experiment. But they don't call it an experiment in the same way that we might say it's an unethical experiment. And what they've done now with this ESSER money, with this little micro school and with other giving it to Prenda and things like that, I think is just like Ego Brain pointed out, is that they are going to get them addicted to this money. And who's going to come riding to the rescue? Chan Zuckerberg, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Ford Foundation, this foundation.
Have us. I mean, next week we're going to have the hit list. We're going to have the alphabetical That's our goal.
All these private entities that are, it's amazing. Elon Musk is the devil, and the Koch brothers are terrible, dark money. But Bill and Melinda Gates, oh, it's wonderful. Jeff Bezos, oh, it's so fantastic. They're so generous and philanthropic and giving all this money to our schools. But you know what? They have interests that align. Data, lots and lots of data. And then, of course, the government going, one mind, one hive mind, SEL, which is much easier to achieve when you have mountains of data on people, so you can predict their behavior, predict their thoughts, send them the curriculum that you want them to have. They could actually right now divide our students into by like, alphas, betas, gammas. They could classify our kids by personality type probably at the end of 1 year of surveys. And they can then deliver them all kinds of micro schooling, and they'll tell you it's tailor-made for your child's special needs.
And those are going to get, that's where this comes in, is that once you're determined at 4 or 3 or birth that you are not emotionally or whatever, guess what? If you're virtually learning, you're going to be cycled into a dumber you're not going to get the same education, because at 4 you've been predetermined that you are not worthy. And that's where that's the future of that's what I'm trying to explain.
They claim it's all about equity. It's all about eliminating inequalities, and they can give it this cosmetic appearance that they're giving them such special attention. But I can tell you right now, if you compared what those 4 students are doing as middle schoolers to what the elementary school kids did in Chicago at Marva Collins Academy that she built, okay, forget about it. Even today's Success Academy in New York City, that charter school, what these kids are doing is they're being babied, they're being coddled, they're being like made into fragile little pieces of glass that will not be able to function in the outside world. When Marva Collins was able to get kids on the south side of Chicago, in one of the worst areas ever in the country, and she was able to get these kids reciting Aristotle and Plato by 5th grade and Shakespeare. Don't give me this. Don't give me this, oh, they didn't feel welcome and comfortable and whatever. Yeah, because you're constantly telling them they're oppressed. You're constantly telling them being profiled and everybody hates them. And, oh, no wonder you don't feel comfortable here because there's so much racism. You're feeding into that cognitive distortion.
I was disparately impacted by COVID. I was like, okay, I was.
Right. They're being told that. And then why wouldn't they believe it? Because somebody has told them that. The teacher says, oh, the reason you feel uncomfortable, it's not adolescence. It's not a normal part of growing up. No. It's racism. And then here's this one. This was in 2021. Could this school district be a model for creating lasting?
This is Virginia. Okay. Yeah. This is the teacher that's currently, there's a court case going on over CRT. She refused, and but this is Albemarle. Now I'm talking about, now this is actually Charlottesville. They call it Albemarle, but Charlottesville is what I say that money does not mean anything, but people live in Charlottesville. Like that's where Trump's vineyard is, like Virginia, this is, but this is Albemarle. This is in Virginia. And
right. And of course they use the Charlottesville, Unite the Right thing as their justification. They ignore the fact that Antifa was there too. No, we don't talk about that. It's only that. But look what they say. They say that these different districts, Detroit, Columbus, Ohio, Newburgh, Oregon, and many other cities, committed to reviewing policies and practices that may perpetuate systemic racism and instead create more inclusive school cultures, implementing inclusive curricula, offering implicit bias teacher training, which we know is bunk, increasing school staff diversity. That's code for we're going to discriminate in hiring and only hire the Black and brown teachers, and get rid of the ones that aren't. Improving academic outcomes for the most vulnerable students. Who might they be? Who are the most vulnerable, and how do you know? And how are you improving those outcomes, and by what measure? They never tell you. They just say they're going to do it, and everybody goes, that's so good. They become the hallmarks of these districts' equity missions. Some districts also hired equity specialists. How expensive are they? And collected data to help identify problems and offer solutions. They don't tell you what data. They don't tell you how they analyzed it. They don't tell you how they arrived at the conclusion that they hired equity coaches and that they conducted an audit on hiring and retaining staff of color.
You don't ever pull out a journal of medicine or a journal of social, and see the control groups and the And like, there's no actual like anything to ever look at. And when they do, it cites Castle. Like, you can't cite Castle as your evidence. Like,
they cite each other. They just go,
yeah,
he did
or
it,
something
she
from
did it, they did it.
1952 on Grit, when Duckworth has even said, this is not my thing, I'm out. When all this started, like the Queen of Grit even said, this is not what I was talking about, and she wanted out. Like, but they cite her in half the stuff.
And then, oh great, this is the school board must be serious about confronting this institutional system built on advancing whiteness.
But you have to understand, like, that's where like, I know personally, like the VSBA, they had a video leaked from their last legislative session when you were talking about education savings accounts. This is a lobbying body, okay, that tells our school boards what to do. It's
in case you're wondering who this is Teach for America. This is government funded.
Yeah.
Your tax dollars. So, you know what when we come to you in this show, the reason we call it defunded.gov is because there is, you know, everybody's going school board. It's like, guys, I don't blame you. Definitely go to your school board meetings, do your thing.
I don't scream at them every week. I know it's not doing anything, but still.
Out. But understand something. There's an agency that is younger than I am, 1978. Okay, that is considerably younger than I am, and it is. People act like we have to keep it. We can't get rid of it. It's so essential. This is all it does. This is all it has done since its inception. Its purpose, near as I can tell, has been to advance the one cause and one cause only: the Democratic Party. And I'm not a partisan. I'm not a Republican. I'm just telling you that they are one party, one mind. And even when obviously we've had Republican presidents, and obviously they've appointed, you know, heads of it, secretaries of it, and they've done some pretty back-asswards things.
They are smart and they think long game.
But this is what they do. Bureaucracy exists to perpetuate itself. And the party that benefits the most, because that's what giant bureaucracy and big government and collectivism benefits, is the left. It doesn't benefit the right. So even if the right has come in and go, I'm too chicken to get rid of the Department of Education. So
but
scary.
That's where the 2016 election comes in, is that look at, okay, if we were to not dig into Reagan, okay, so say it's 78 it's formed. So then after that we have Bush. And so we know that in 89 he was in Charlottesville with Clinton prepping. Yep. And in 94 ESEA came back. And then, you know, No Child Left Behind gets blamed on you know, Bush Jr. And then people were like hearing the unions talk about no child, but you know what? Every student succeeds. And I'm like, you guys are you that dumb? Are you that brainwashed? Because all it is that now it's pay. We're going to pay. Did any assessment go away? Has any of that gone away? No, it's just made it worse for you.
And they have private partners. So they always act like, oh, no, it's not just your tax money. It's these extremely partisan, left-leaning private partners. So now they get the charitable foundation. They address the social and emotional needs of students and teachers with a $1 million grant to expand. Everybody's complaining about Elon Musk potentially buying Twitter because he's going to control speech. Oh, my God.
Partisan.
Meanwhile, she's going in and augmenting the expenditure of your tax dollars on social and emotional learning, which we have profiled on this channel many, many, many times, is pushing Marxism right into your kid's brain like this. And forget Marxism. It's not even Marxism anymore. It's like a cultural Marxism. It's forget it. They're brainwashing them into being little
make up our own
zombies. We have to come up with something new because it doesn't really fit anymore. It's just taking your child from being an individual that is your child and part of your family and belongs to themselves, you know, it's like has a unique identity, and making them part of the Borg, part of the little identity group that they're part of that can be manipulated and puppet strings pulled so they can, you know, maintain their social credit and then have a loyalty to the collective. That's what so transformative social emotional learning is about, and what it's for is to have them serve the state.
It
100%.
is narcissistic. It is gaslighting. Like
yep.
I was in a relationship for 15 years with this here, the government, like I know it when I see it, like that's what this is. And you know what I call it, mind forking. But that's what it is that you are taking reality, somebody's reality, and you I don't even think I went through years of therapy knowing it had been done to me, and I did never come back.
I gotta click the research. Where does it go? Social emotional competencies aren't secondary to the mission of education. Who wrote it? I bet you. Where's Adrian? Where's my friend Adrian? We got to get
An
her.
Article is not research. Like, this
is not research. Then we have references. Oh wow, we're going back to 2006. We're going pretty far back. Oh wait,
1982.
Skinner? Wait. Skinner?
Yes,
Skinner.
1982.
Skinner,
that
guys.
one we looked at
Ding,
was
ding,
like
ding, ding, ding.
Right.
Come on, little doggy, get the food. I mean,
love.
That's right, but Skinner also did the behavior.
Yeah, I know, but like, are we going to go that far back?
This is
research.
An article about social emotional learning is not research. Yeah. This article cites other non-research that this isn't research, guys. They will do this to you over and over and over again. They will tell you there's research, and 99.9% of people won't click that. They'll go, oh, it's research-based, must be good. They're the experts. And they'll say, oh, it has shown this, and it includes positive long-term impacts. They don't tell you what those are, though. Positive for whom? For the student or for the system? Define positive. Right. Give me an example of a long-term impact. See, parents, these are the questions you need to ask yourselves. Well, you have to understand SEL is very important to get creating student success and listening to student voices. Voices saying what? Success doing what? Outcomes of what? Benefit for whom? You need those answers. Don't assume you guys are speaking the same language. Don't assume the outcome is to your benefit or your child.
On the new website to ask your school board. And it's very like, ask your children's principal, where's his data going? I mean, there's pages of different types of questions that you need to be asking. But I tell people point blank, if you, okay, Bill Gates and Chan Zuckerberg, if they're giving your child's curriculum, if they have designed it, if they are the people that are implementing it, monitoring it, everything blink your child does on the mouse, click on the mouse. Oh, that's all you need to know about social media. Are you comfortable with that? Well, no. Okay, that's all you need to know. Is that does that still make you think, if you're logical, that which I don't even know. But that's how there is nothing without these people. Like nothing. I have been able.
By the way, this I remember. Maybe y'all are old enough to remember when Teach for America and the whole core of teachers, whatever, AmeriCorps was created. I believe it was Bill Clinton. I remember this. And I remember how this was going to be great. They were going to get teachers to go into areas where, they would otherwise have wanted to teach and make it easier and pay off their loans and all these things. I don't recall Teach for America ever being about inequities, closing gaps, or any of that. I mean, other than getting teachers into districts where they didn't have teachers and making it easier for people to become teachers. Didn't mention anything about that. Let's take a look at this history. So we go all the way back. Yep. 1990, 94, just as I thought. Okay. So we start then 93, the federal government establishes America with Teach for America. Okay. 94, they begin to lead their own classrooms. And then we come forward, building a coalition, etc. And now we start to change. So they've got all these teachers.
Find out if you were,
yep, growing in scale and diversity. Now I want to go back and show you how they talked about diversity. So they've got all these core members and teachers. And oh, look, they're very proud of this. This is what they call diversity.
No.
That doesn't even reflect the population.
It's called quantity over quality. And we have in the next 3 years, they want this county to grow 22% because we're at 18% white, or they want us to be 50-50 and we are at 18%. Tell me how in 3 years we are going to equal the the white, and it's not even non-white, black and white teachers. Everybody else is discounted. In 3 years, they want to make it 50-50 and we're at 18 right now. Tell me how, and children are still going to get an education by doing that.
And they're all, look at this labeling, Latinx, Black, Native. I mean, guys, this is not the way. Like, America was supposed to be Americans. And if you have something called AmeriCorps, and teach for America, and then you're going to be so proud of the fact that you have this many Latinx teachers and this many Black teachers and this many white teachers, and they're going to carry that into the classroom. And I mean, here's another, this is great. What does safe mean?
Oh, I can tell you.
What does safe mean?
It doesn't mean what you think it means. There's another, I'll tell you what it means. And it goes back to community schools. It does not mean what we think it means. It's safe for whom is the question. It goes to climate. It is very. They
are arguing that challenging your view, challenging their views creates a lack of safety. So if I were to go in, for example, as a teacher and bring in, let's say, Thomas Sowell to challenge some of their views on anti-racism. Let's say, you read Kendi and I came in and read Sowell side by side. I would be told that I had created an unsafe climate in the classroom because I had done something that triggered the children, because Kendi is telling them, anti-racism. And if I challenged anti-racism, that would de facto be creating an unsafe environment. Just like they want to keep books in the library that have, all kinds of what parents would consider porn. But if I say, I would like to put in, a copy of the Bible, I wouldn't, but I'm just saying, let's say I did. Let's say I said, I want to put that in, that would be creating an unsafe environment in the library for those people who are triggered by the existence of the Bible or Abigail Schreier's
graphic comics of people slitting cops' throats, that are in our schools. It's not just the porn that we're mad about. It is graphic violence, because of all these graphic comic, but it's
exactly.
But they're okay.
And yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah. So, I mean, this is the thing. Safe doesn't mean what you think it means. America doesn't mean what you think it means. Diversity doesn't mean what you think it means. And now micro school. And now micro school. They are now co-opting micro school. And so why wouldn't I want to copy the Bible library? Well, I would actually. I mean, for humanities purposes and history, yes, I would. My point is, it's not there. There is not a copy of the Bible in the public school library, but there is a copy of all kinds of pornographic material, and they defend that and call us prudes for wanting to remove it from, middle schools and elementary schools where we don't think it's age appropriate. We don't think it's appropriate in high school, but, we just parents don't think it's appropriate to be there. And it's, oh no, how terrible. I'm like, okay, put a copy of the Bible there and be like, oh my God, no, couldn't possibly. So safe is relative.
Yeah.
And safe is defined by the receiver. And of course, they've been told for years now that they're being profiled and everybody hates them and they're oppressed and everything else. Well, why wouldn't you believe it if your teachers are telling that to you? Especially if your white teachers are telling it to you. Why wouldn't you believe it?
They're actually the worst, is the ones that, and you see the moron that I had to get kicked out of the school board meeting from, a white man who has children. He is, you've seen him speak, and it is, you talked, it's like preaching. I mean, the way that it is so why wouldn't you believe him? He's a white man and he believes everything that's coming. So how could you not? John Brown. I mean,
this is just, so I guess getting back to the beginning part of the micro school that we profiled, in my opinion, I can't speak for Anne, but in my opinion, it's unconstitutional. In my opinion, it is a misappropriation of funds. It is objectively denying those children who are in it
to that letter that Cardona sent Lane that says, I'm going to give you this money, but you can't violate 1964, all the Equality Acts. It's up to each and every state superintendent. I have every single all of them, plus Puerto Rico and Samoan Islands.
Madison, Wisconsin. So the Department of Education has given out the money, but washed its hands of constitutionality. They have put, as Anne said, a disclaimer with every award saying, even though they submit an application, they submitted, hi, I need this money to do this, 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 and this. And Cardona goes, okay. But if you're violating the Civil Rights Act, that's on you. You don't think they can tell right there in the application that they're going to be violating this? We're going to start a BIPOC little micro school for
it's all been interpretation of does equity violate? Yes, it does. But it's been an argument like this here, whoever lives in Wisconsin, like I will give you the information because this blatantly is segregated. This is blatantly change the nation for us. I'm begging you. I will build a case for you. If you're in Wisconsin, and contact me because you have the biggest case out of anybody and you want to save the kids, I will give you the evidence from Cardona. I have piles of it on Wisconsin, and because this is the most blatant thing that we have been able to see or prove. We know that equity and all of this affinity groups and all of that violates, but this
absolutely
here
this is federal dollars with a segregated school, and people can say all day long, but it's only for kids. Okay, well, can we talk about the lack of ethics of experimenting even when they're volunteers? They say, well, they applied because they don't feel safe in the regular school. You have an obligation to provide these students with an equitable, like literally equal education to what their peers are getting. And you're not giving it to them. You are absolutely not giving it to them. Now, if it were private, even if it were a charter school that a lot of other kids could come into and it was all on the up and up and it was transparent and they were still meeting the standards of the state, that school has lower standards and a lower obligation to meet them for middle school than a homeschooler in the same state. Homeschooled parents in the same state have a higher bar to leap over, and these people have the nerve to tell us we don't know what we're doing. That's where I get my backup is, everybody in the public school establishment wants to have it both ways. They want to tell us homeschool parents that we're ridiculous, we don't know what we're doing, and we're not experts, and they know best. Then in the next breath, they want to set something up using tax, and we shouldn't give tax money to private institutions. Then they want to take tax money and create a segregated school, call it anti-racist, and then not teach the kids by any standards. Well, how convenient. They just get to do whatever they want, and suddenly it's a good thing because they said so.
But
and
it's like,
I guess
what do we
I'm
do
just
now?
saying parents don't fall for it anymore.
Is that we had the FOIA discussion first, and it got my brain thinking. It's like, I build all this stuff. Oh, this is from that specific, if you read that news article, was from that class. So I thought I would share it. If you're Black, so it's just the pamphlet, I guess, that they have for the,
yeah. Are you looking for somewhere to go that doesn't look like or feel like your current school?
Yeah, when I was in 8th grade, it would be called not doing school. Like,
right. Do you feel school is not for me, or that you want a different learning experience than you've had? Do you want to share your ideas and have a say in where and what you will learn? Yeah, we call that homeschool. What does anti-racism have to do with it? The Anti-Racist Learning Laboratory and Innovation Network, all in, is a micro school that rethinks what schools could be and how youth can be leaders in designing and shaping their own learning. Awarded funding from MMSD and the Big Ideas Proposal Campaign, whatever that is.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Let's see. The All-In design team pitched a proposal aiming to disrupt systemic inequalities in education for Black and Brown youth by giving them nothing, by giving them a demonstrably unequal education. Okay. In this learning laboratory, students will explore culturally inclusive curriculum. What does that mean? They will engage in meaningful experiences. Again, what does that mean? To build their knowledge and skills of content. What content? If they don't know what you're teaching yet, because the students are going to figure it out. As its application to their own lives, their own narrow little lives, because they haven't seen anything of the world and are expecting you to teach it to them. The All-In learning community is committed to elevating authentic, student voice and choice as empowered leaders in their classroom learning and growth. 13-year-olds, leaders. Okay, then.
So open education, it's like the whole student-led and project-based, which my daughter was project-based. I heard this was okay. Well, everything's going to be based on a project, but she never brought a project home. Like it never. I was always like, okay, well, I'm coming to find out that's one of those big things that I didn't know was going on. But all of this, open education resources like games. Like if your kid, okay, they're going to play a math game. No, they're teaching your children to rely on computers so that when nothing else matters in this world, they're already used to it. When they don't they're going to be micro employment, because they're going to be the ones clicking the mouse, running the machines, doing the big jobs, like
Yes.
brain surgery, because we're all so dumb that none of us can actually go to med school, because you can't go to med school, or I mean, you might be able to, but that's not like, they're not dumbing people down to be dumb doctors. They're going to be like robotics. And whether you can earn $15 an hour to click the mouse to run the robot will be based on your station in life that was determined from the data collected on you from when you were a newborn. Trust me.
Right. And the thing is, because when you do project-based learning and everything is led by you who have no knowledge. That's the whole point of you going to school. When you do that kind of thing, and don't misunderstand me that I'm saying there's never a role to do a project in school, or there's never a role to, do things as a group. And no. It's all about
year.
Yeah. If you are taught through a project-based model, first of all, what inevitably happens, come on, folks, you've worked on projects in a group. One or two people end up doing the work of everybody. Everybody else coasts along. That's the first thing that happens. Second thing that happens is you develop this sense of, I can only get things done in a group. You literally don't have any kind of experience taking something from start to finish on your freaking own. We now also eliminate individual accomplishment. When you eliminate individual accomplishment, then you eliminate any competition. When you eliminate competition, then everybody is looking to some higher authority to tell them how to feel about themselves, because you have no sense of intrinsic worth. And most importantly, you only have the skills that you needed to do the project. And those are the ones that the people running the project gave you or said, here, use this. You have no freedom. They don't really have freedom. They're making the illusion of they have freedom to lead the learning, but no, they don't. I want to learn about this. Okay, you're going to learn it this way. They would not know how to start to learn something individually, start to finish, using whatever resources they could get their hands on if their lives depended on it. And that's this life skill that you don't learn in project-based learning. You don't learn it in the so-called student-led or inquiry model or whatever. There is lots of research to suggest that this model of education does not work. It does not work. It's like whole language learning or whole word learning that since the 1950s, they keep trying to ram this down our throats. And the only thing I've been able to conclude is they don't want us literate. Because if you've been doing something wrong and the results are like this, and you don't come around to stop doing it, I assume you're doing it intentionally. The same is true for project-based learning, all this stuff, getting the instructor away from being an instructor, away from being a teacher, away from being a knowledge base in the classroom. I'm sorry. You can attach all kinds of negative associations with that all you want. But the kids who are going to those kinds of schools, like the ones in China, and I'm not saying we should have the exact Chinese model. I'm just saying there's a reason they are kicking our asses.
Yeah.
On every possible measurement. Don't like the culture, don't like their rules and everything. Don't get me wrong. But I taught Chinese students for 3 years, and I had 8-year-olds who understood English grammar, and mathematics better than kids I've seen in 8th grade in America.
We have, in Virginia, there's a Chinese church, and one of our board members went and was, and they're looking and they're like, is that what this is? Like, they are completely, now they left for a reason, but to find out this is going on in America, to blow Chinese people away, that I thought this looked familiar, or okay, this makes sense now. And then they start talking to me about what it is, like the woman on Whose Children Are They that escaped Mao. Like, when they can tell you what it is, that's when you need to listen up. When you have the people that lived it telling you, that's this right here.
Exactly. That this is not accidental. And that woman, that researcher you just saw, and even the teacher, come on, folks. Come on. I mean, are those the people that you want, teaching anybody's kids? They're not doing them any favors. They take this whole approach like belonging is the most important thing about school. Since when?
What does
And
it
since
mean,
when,
though?
first of all, what does it mean? Second of all, what evidence do they have other than the students saying I don't belong? Where did the students get the idea they're supposed to belong? And what do they mean by belong?
I didn't
And did it occur
belong
to anybody
in
they
middle
don't feel like they belong because they can't do the most basic work? If I had to go to school every day and I couldn't read very well, if that's the first thing I couldn't do is read, I wouldn't want to be there. I wouldn't feel like I belonged. Okay. So you gotta be you gotta have the most basic skill set, first of all. And like I said, if you go into a building and everybody's constantly telling you, the adults there are telling you that you're oppressed, why would you feel like you belonged?
Yeah.
This system is terrible. This system that you're in right now, that you're sitting in right now at that desk right now in this building. Yeah, it's terrible. It hates you. Why are you going to feel belonging?
Oh, and you have anxiety. Did you not know that? That feeling you
Yeah.
have right
Here,
now?
let's
being
show you a
sixth grade girl?
PowerPoint slide show about how anxiety works.
How
So
are
you
you
can start to
feeling?
like diagnose yourself with anxiety. By the way, we're going to have a health center down the hall in a couple weeks where you can go get some pills for that. You don't have to tell mom, and it'll be
The
our
suicide
secret.
rate, and they're already talking about like naloxone, which is Suboxone, which is I was reading another article about it, about making that available. For the kids who
Awesome.
can't, because guess what? Chesterfield County is opening. Now, granted, we can't take care of our special education kids, and they are spending millions of dollars to fight SPED parents who just want their dyslexic child to not wait until 8th grade to be diagnosed, when parents are like, hello, there's a problem, my kid can't read. They are building, now I'm a recovering addict, I've been clean for 15 years, and I have a problem. They are building an addiction high school. No lie. Do you know where that came from? Our superintendent, guess what he did in Delaware before he came, or wrote wherever, Delaware, I think. He built an addiction high school. But I'm sorry, but when you are fully funded for 2 years and you have a mother that comes before every single school board because our 14-year-old son sits in his diaper all day because you won't find somebody for more than $18 an hour to come take care of that kid after you got millions and millions of dollars for IDEA money that you are spending on SEL. Yes, that's a problem when you want to build an addiction high school. You are creating addiction, one, by asking my daughter at 11 what drugs are in her house, and then teaching her how to go find them on the internet. Right. And then not only that, but then the opioid the module.
Look, we got one too. We got one. Yeah,
oh, you do. Yeah.
Bet y'all have one too. We got one since 2019. Yeah. Here we go. Ribbon cutting. House in the second floor of an auxiliary building at the United Methodist Church, a year-round recovery high school, open its doors.
You encourage it. You cause trauma by constantly talking about trauma. Okay, I'm not talking about kids that are addicted, that you ignore it, but you don't make a high school. Do you have a high school for alcoholic children? Like,
now they're saying that they've gotten a greater percentage of the kids to be recovered and go back to school from this than they got out of the standard, school. But now they're saying research has shown that students at recovery high schools are disproportionately white and higher income. So of course, now we have a problem where it's not fair because there's too many white people. Well, I mean, there are more white heroin addicts than black heroin addicts. That's just
white people are more prone to become pillheads. Like, it's just like, but I'm guaranteeing you, they're not going, oh, well, what's your drug of choice? For me, I'll say it, I would lick a wallpaper. If 15 years ago, I didn't have that, but oh, they're not going, oh, crack, nope, sorry. Here, nope, sorry. It's got to be, no, like, you can't, because I can guarantee you that white people aren't going, great idea. Like, no, it's not a white and everything has got to stop being about white and black, because that's how they're winning, is dividing us by them telling us that they care. So they think they care when they didn't really care. And then we're on the defense all the time because I'm not racist. That doesn't make me, that doesn't make me racist. So they're winning because they are constantly dividing us. And if everybody could just stop, remember who you are before somebody started telling you what you are, or what you really should think, or what I'm really thinking, even though I'm not saying it because I'm really thinking it. Okay. If everybody could just stop and think and remember, because every day I think about the wonderful encounters I have with everybody of every other color skin. I don't live the life that you're telling me is going on in this world right now.
Most of us don't.
No,
they want to say,
don't.
like, don't believe your eyes and ears. Don't believe the evidence of your eyes and ears. When you go out in your neighborhood and you just wave at people and you're like, whatever. I mean, you're not really, yeah, you see their race, but you don't see their race. Like, there's a difference. And as you said, you remember like who you are before somebody told you what you are. And we're busy telling these children what they are. And I will be damned if I'm going to sit here silent and let the federal government or even the state government decide that they are creating school choice called micro school based on race using tax dollars, while in the same damn breath, they tell homeschoolers that we don't know what the hell we're doing. I am sorry. I will shout it from the rooftops. A micro school traditionally is a private endeavor. And if you run a micro school company out there, hello, if anybody's listening, and you start taking, Brenda, hello, I hope you're listening. If you keep taking federal dollars and you don't continue to privately fund yourselves, then you're going to be on my shit list. You're going to be, I'm not saying anything now. I don't want to impugn anybody right this moment. And I'll let New Hampshire go. That thing that happened in New Hampshire, that was during middle of COVID. I understand, whatever. But moving forward, if you start making deals, okay, like Second Step, like Castle, like some of these other companies, and Panorama Ed.
For what? These
for-profit companies. You start making deals and you betray the original mission. I know you're like, oh, we're for profit. We're supposed to make money. Okay, well then you're going to be on my shit list. You can make a profit and not be a rent-seeking company, a crony of the government, trying to push an ideology onto mostly unsuspecting parents who are going to think, oh, this is great. I'm getting some of my tax dollars back to have my own private school with my 10 best friends. The only little wrinkle is we have to have an equity plan and we have to have this SEL component and we have to do this, but we're getting our tax dollars back. No, you should not have to trade your integrity and your child's integrity to get your own money. And any intermediary company that comes in and facilitates that and helps the government do it, oh, they're not capitalists. That's a little thing we call fascism, or if you prefer, cronyism. That's not capitalism. Capitalists go out and take their risks in the open market, and they don't look for the government to give them an easy payday. So anybody calling themselves a micro school company, or even a company that gives you the administrative plan, or any other company that's going to help you homeschool with micro schools, it takes $1 directly from the government. If they're taking money that it was yours, that you wrote a check that came out of your tax refund or something, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Biden administration going, here you go, Brenda. Here you go. Here's the voucher. No.
I will tell you though, because now this is a woman who knows about, coming from Virginia, we've had the same 7 or 8 charter schools because they have literally made it impossible for anybody. So, when to us, anything other than $20,000 a year for private school, or for parents like me who have 2 kids that they will not function in a homeschool environment,
Right.
that anything that resembles public school. And I think that's where Youngkin comes in, is that Youngkin was like, is that we are so desperate for something else that none of us have ever lived anything else to know that charter schools are not a good thing,
Well, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah,
that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because what you're going to hear school choice, school choice, school choice. And I want you guys to ask questions. What do you mean by choice? Who's administering it? Who's paying for it? What does the curriculum have to be? Because it's not a choice if the government has decided what the curriculum has to be.
Right.
No, now you're choosing a building. You're choosing a building. You're choosing a different set of teachers. And even so, even if it was all of your dollars, like you're sending them off to Charlotte Latin School, okay, fancy Tony private school in Charlotte, and it's, like $30,000 a year for your kid to go to high school, and you think, oh, I'm exercising my choice. I got news for you. Where do you think those teachers went to school? What professors do you think taught them in their teacher colleges, or even if they didn't go to teacher college, when they got their certification? What the hell do you think they had to do to pass their certification test? The pipeline is still filled and dominated by the government. And if your private school requires certification, as many, many of them do, same thing. Most of them also have an equity plan. Okay. And then if they take any, like we know here did, we know that higher education took public money. We know a lot of private schools took public money. They take $1 of it.
There's stipulations.
They have to do what the government says. So choice at this point means you keep your damn money. You decide what your kids are going to learn. You decide where and from whom they're going to learn it. And you can call that homeschool. You can call that micro school. You can call it whatever the hell you want. But choice is not about the kind of building. It's not about the size. And it's not about, the government giving you a piece of paper. It's about you deciding the whole thing without somebody coming to your house, the truancy officer, and going, you need to jump through these 10 hoops and sign this piece of paper and have this thing and that thing and the other thing. No, all of those are impediments to choice. I believe homeschoolers today in many states in this country don't have full choice because they can homeschool. Oh, sure. If they have a high school diploma. And you might think, why would you want someone to teach their own children without a high school diploma? I personally know people who didn't complete high school who are smarter than people I know who went to college. School of hard knocks, whatever you want to call it.
Because it was, I grew up in a house that it wasn't, what are you going to do after our high school? It was what college, what good college.
Same. Exactly.
And it was a degree that you could see both of them. Now, right now, the journalism and the geopolitical war history, just I think God speaking through me, they just happen to combine right now in my knowledge base. But after I got out, when I realized that investigative journalism didn't really ever exist, that's what $80,000 paid for.
Pieces of paper.
What? I did not get forgiveness on. So do I get a rebate no on what I paid off that I couldn't afford?
Right.
Like
and I'm sorry, you know what you need to know how to do to teach your kids to read? You need to know how to read, ideally. That would be helpful. Yeah. But there are plenty of people who don't have that. Then another thing, there are states where you have to have a college degree. There are some states where they wanted to have you have to have a teaching certificate. California wanted that. I don't think it passed. I think it got thrown out in court, but they keep trying. Massachusetts has all kinds of hoops that you have to jump through. You have to submit attendance plans and your curriculum and what books you're going to use. I'm sorry. It is not the private school person doesn't have to do that. They go, well, they're accredited with with NAIS or they're accredited with the government or whatever. And it's like, you don't know what that means. Don't give me this. They're accredited. That just means the government approves of the philosophy and ideology they're teaching. Boom. They're not looking at the quality of the books. They're not looking at the quality of anything. That's going to still be decided in the open market as to whether people want to pay $25,000 or $30,000 to go there. That's not decided by the government.
Everybody
this notion that government is making quality is utterly ridiculous. Have you been to the DMV?
Yes, but everybody
or
should
the VA.
And I don't know if it's all 50 states, but I know that part of COVID was they applied to have accreditation waived. So I know that. So Chesterfield has always prided itself on being 100%. My new thing is education over accreditation, because you can't pride yourself on being 100% accredited when there hasn't been accreditation for 2 years and it's suspended next year.
Yeah. So don't even come at me with this accreditation stuff. So anyway, I guess that's just the choice thing, the micro school thing. Don't be fooled. At the same time, don't hear the term micro school and go, that's a bad thing.
Everybody should have their
just
eyes
ask the questions wide open.
Just when I was looking for private schools for my daughters, did you take money? And then I investigated whether they took money, because it's not about, and I went through a lot of them before I found one that did not take the money, because to me, I know enough about it to know that I don't care how small, because I know that there were stipulations that you had to, and nope.
Yep.
I don't want nothing to do with it. Nope.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I want to go to, is there anybody that wants from a state that wants to see, let me pull up that neat little thingy that I found that I forgot I found.
Oh, right. This sheet. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, there it is. All right. If you want to click on, I think that's it. Yeah. That, and then that should pull up the website, or you want me to do it?
There
Can
you
you
go.
do it? Now click on that, and that should attach to that should take you to the website.
Click on which part?
Oh,
Oh, there.
no,
I think
we don't want to see
there.
them.
Uh-uh.
You can't. Okay, I've got it. Can you pull up your private chat? I sent it to you there.
Huh. That's pulling it up in a separate. Hang on a second. Maybe I can. Yeah, let me see if I can do it this way. Hold the phone, please. Hold, please.
Here, I'll put it in here. I'll put it. Whatever the. I will send it. Put it in the chat, the comments too. Which I didn't know that I could be.
Okay, so here's all the states. This tells you what you got. So here we go. There's my state.
Yeah, pick a state and see up the top. If you scroll up, it has it's tiny little gray all the way up. There's little tabs right there. You can pick ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3, and you can pick what can.
Right down to the district.
Yep.
Right down to the district. Wow.
Yes, it is.
Now that's Colorado. So if I went to my state, which is North Carolina, and if I did Charlotte, see if it gets Charlotte Mecklenburg. Is that what that means right here? Is this all of North Carolina?
Yeah.
Or I was trying to look for mine. Let's see if Charlotte Mecklenburg, here it is. It's right at the top. This one. There's mine. Wow, that's a lot of money.
That was that ESSER 1? Or is that what you're under 3?
Look at ESSER 3. 300 and is that million?
Yes.
I'm sorry, wait. Is that million?
Mm-hmm. But no, what they like to do is they don't ever put billion. So they'll put numbers and then they'll say in thousands because they don't want you to add the extra 3 zeros at the end. So they will put it so that it looks like something. Like maybe like 1 million.
Well, these are millions. This has to be.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that when you look at stuff and you think it's only $60,000. No, they're telling you in little writing up top, it's in the thousands, which means
$352 million.
Yeah, I 100% don't.
And I freaking guarantee you, there'll be a bond issue. There'll be some other there's always bonds and bonds and bonds and bonds and bonds. And never since I have lived here since 2005 has there been one that got shot down. Not once.
No.
These people are floating in money. They're swimming in it. And they go, oh my God, we're so poor. I have no money. We need more money.
Now, the reason Chesterfield is fully funded for the next 2 years is because James Lane implemented SEL. Our first contracts were in 2017. 3 years before legislation, 3 years before COVID, the man who went on to the VDOE and now is under Cardona, tell me that there's not a link there. He had SEL implemented here. So they didn't have to force through money that they had already. But part of the thing is that this was not to fully fund schools. This was for recovery of loss of learning. So, but yeah, so they pride themselves, but we took them they admitted, the school board has said, well, yes, we did mask the kids because of the money, because that was how I got introduced to all of it, was somebody said they masked the kids for the money. I was like, what money? I didn't have any clue about any of this. I was just looking for where does it say masking for money? And then I started to remember, wait a minute. And I went back through and pulled my manuals out, and I was like, at how blatant these people are in this.
Wow.
It does. They did mask for the money. It's in there. Like, that was part of it. But since
that is in freaking sane. All right. So that's I want to, round it out because I think we've been at this for a while, and I know you're exhausted.
I have to go out to Hanover for a tea party. It's not a bad thing because I actually don't have to speak tonight, thank God. But in the comments, will you want to share that, because mine doesn't have a thing.
Yeah, let me.
But
again, is there like a home page of it? Like, where do you go for like the main page?
Honestly, no. It just, when I was doing my research, it was one of those things that I was
there
like,
you go, guys.
what is this? What is
there
this?
You go.
That and it's on the VA. It's on the VA FCF site and you can go to ESSER. Boop. And these manuals that before we go, I will let me. Oh, we missed. Oh, good old Pringle. Guys, but if you pull up, if you have your contracts and you find one called Aperture, they do something called the DESA and the DESA Mini. That's the Devereaux system of data tracking. It is the worst. Like, that is the one when they talk about like Panorama. Panorama is like, they do like the lessons. Aperture and DESA Mini. I don't know. You want to pull that up for me real quick.
Okay.
Just so they know what it looks like. But this is Aperture, okay? DESA Mini, and it stands for Devereaux something or another, just so you know what to look for. This is
common lens and language for crafting an SEL program that involves educators, parents, and students. The DESA is commonly used to inform the delivery of SEL at Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3, as well as measuring the results of that delivery, and supports a variety of educational models, including, just so you guys know, Tier 1 teaching, Tier 2 would be counseling, and Tier 3 would be like, you know, your social workers.
Like PBIS. Like, we talk about if PBIS would work if every school did it and you ever got past dangling the carrot, like one, you know? So evidence is that we've had it here for 13 years and it doesn't work.
Just so you know, here you go. A form of SEL aimed at redistributing power to promote
These
social
are the
justice.
Definitions that they tell on themselves that they don't tell you.
Just so you know. I mean, like, you know, next time they tell you it's all about just managing emotions and, you know, handling stress. And it's just, we meditate, and it's just, you know, so the student is feeling good about themselves, and then they can learn while we are redistributing power to promote social justice through increased engagement in school and civic life.
Oh, go to the next one. They'll tell you what they actually mean. Like, this is how arrogant these people are.
Yes.
Self-awareness really means
racial, class, and gendered identities.
Yeah.
Not inside. Not your values, not your morals.
Self-management really means
anything else about, oops, I'm responsible for being a total dick the other day to my mom. No. That's why you get kids coming home going, I am oppressed, mom, because of the blah, 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 blah. And how dare you speak to me in this manner? That's not self-awareness. I'm sorry. Self-management is collective agency. That's a contradiction. Your self-management is not collective agency. Unless you are literally a piece of the Borg. Like, if you live in the Matrix, then maybe self-management is, you know, making sure you're plugged in. Like, am I plugged in all the way? Neo, is my plug loose?
These aren't hard to find either, guys. You can Google.
I'm managing myself.
Like, I did not create this. It'll pop up if you hit images on Google. Like, that's how, like, this, I did not hunt this down. This is right there in front of your face. Like,
made possible with support from the Allstate Foundation. You see?
Oh, I got to add that to my list. I have a chart literally of the alphabet. I'm going to have the mind of the ABC.
I seriously want to make like a picture of a kid self-managing their plugs into the Matrix. Look, I learned self-management in SEL class. My plugs are tight, very tight.
Did Dewey ever talk about self-management?
I don't know. Relationship skills, collaboration, and co-construction. Do you know what they're constructing, by the way? Reality. We're co-constructing reality. Yeah, it's not just objective. Like, there it is. This is a bottle. It's green. It has a blue label. It's a bottle. Okay. No. Anne, will you please help me construct? And we need to co-construct what this is, because we need to blend my truth and your truth to make our truth.
That's not relationship skills, okay?
What is
relationship skills.
Oh, wait. This is like 100 years in the landfill, Anne. Let's co-construct the reality of this waste product. Anyway, sorry.
I was talking, but on that green, everybody's like, oh, why don't you want your kids to be green? Because what they're teaching the kids, I was talking to a grandfather today who's like, it's random, the people that are calling me being like, I heard about you and I want to tell you, talk to you and work with you. His grandkid, his granddaughter graduated from high school and is afraid that in 11 years, the earth is going to burn up and destroy forever. Like, that's the fear that she lives with every single day. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know. That sucks. And I'm not advocating for it, but I'm still remembering duck and cover drills. And I thought I was going to be incinerated at any moment by nuclear weapons.
But not because of nuclear weapons, but because of global warming. Like, because
I know. Yeah. I don't agree. I don't agree with doing it. I'm just saying that I think for whatever reason, the government needs to have some way to terrify children into feeling like absolutely dependent every generation. Let's see. Responsible decision making, distributive wait. Responsible decision making is distributive justice and collective well-being. This is how they get away with telling you to put a shot in your arm and wear a mask, because your responsible decision making is worrying about the collective well-being. That's your not taking care of yourself, not making sure you don't become a burden on everybody else, not being a complete jerk and making demands of other people's time and money and effort.
The well-being of the group is what matters.
Yes, I'm being very responsible, demanding that you pay for everybody's stuff. I'm more responsible than you.
When you say something like, you're saying you've been oppressed and that everything that Black people have ever achieved has been because of white people. Obama, okay? But the belief, and we all know, is that until everybody succeeds, nobody succeeds in under all of this madness. Well, I don't know every white person that has succeeded. I don't know all of anybody that has succeeded. So that's where like all of this is, that you as the individual don't matter. It's the group.
Unbelievable. Well, guys, so now you can see what transformative SEL is all about. This is it's a lever of equity.
Oh, here's more. It's fun. Yes.
Personal and social cultural identities, recognition of beliefs, mindsets about. This is right there on the Castle website.
Yeah. What I do is I search Castle, and this is how I find a lot of stuff, is that I go up, and this is when I'm not using a dark browser or I use Google, but you click on images or news or videos, and you find so much stuff without having to search through all the writing. But if you type in Castle or even Castle SEL, they'll pop up right there. And if you pick one, boop, it'll pop all, boop, 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 it'll show you. I didn't have to go onto the Castle site to get these.
But it sure would be remarkable if they're there. I'm gonna go look.
No, they are there. But I just saved the image. It'll give you the link. You can click right on it. It'll take you to exactly where it is.
Wow.
Yes. And it's like I tell people, like, hey, you see that pretty little lens right there? Even though like your VDOE did it in red, green, and gray, if you Google lens that thing, guess what's going to pop up? The Castle. It's the same thing, but with different colors. We just had the lens, the little Michael Jordan swoop whole child thing pop up in my county. And the first thing I said was, you can put it in different colors. It's still the same thing. Like, here you go, guys. There's the page and the reports and guidance, articles and briefs, all this stuff. There's a whole page. All I did was put into the Castle site transformative. Mm-hmm. That's all I did. And there's a whole paper on it. But these slides, that's what I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find the slides on it. Because these are remarkable. This is like incredible. What else is there? Oh, there must be a lovely that's what when I research, and even if it's something I'm not on topic about, and that's probably why I have so much research, I save it. And then I'm like,
yeah, why not? Yeah,
I got to go. If only I had the brain to think about how to store it all.
You need a server, but yeah, it just goes on and on. And we are going to talk to you guys next time. What is this? What do you have here? Wait, I see things. What is this? Oh, she's Googling. This is what you see. See what she did? She did put a Castle into Google.
Yeah.
And you get all these images.
And then look, it even gives you like up here, you can pick from what? Okay. Well, what do you want to pick from up here? Like, a little wheel, and then from there you can go. And so there's so much, like, you can go to videos and like you can find out whose Castle's telling what to and what they're saying. And it's right. It's but yeah, like that's like, so we'll talk about Castle.
See, guys, you don't need us. Like, for real.
You're gonna go down rabbit hole.
We're not special. Like CL asked at the beginning, she's like, is this an organic channel?
Castle Transformative.
Is this an organic channel? Who's funding you and all this? And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, like,
yeah,
we're just better Googlers than most people.
Yeah, like people are like, oh, well, I use DuckDuckGo, and I'm like, they're tracking you anyway. Like, I mean, but yeah, so I just typed in transformative, and then look right here.
At least on Google, they're proud of their crap.
It's right here, and so then you click on the one, and you scroll down, and boop boop boop. You can oh, let's put that one. Like, what does this one look like? Oh, and it goes from there. Like, I mean, it is a literal, like, cultural integration. What is that?
Treasure trove.
And you can, I mean, look, this is why I don't sleep and why, because for me, it's like, I have to make it all make sense. And then it went from that to it's never going to make sense. I have to make it everybody accountable. Like,
exactly.
It's but where pull up that, or you have it. I want to show you. There's the one, and it is that's that. Oh, I hate that. But these are the two. Okay, so these are the two of the manuals that you want to look at if you go to the webpage. Because this is the one that is you're going to click on and you're going to be clicking because you want to talk about people telling you who they are and what they really mean. That's where you're going to find out the abolitionist SEL and the blatant
here.
Uh-huh.
Did you pull up is the abolitionist stuff there, or do you need me to try to pull it up?
No, what did I do with it? Oh, there it is.
There it is. The Guide for Racial Justice.
And then this was under when I was researching all of the new mental health stuff. Remember that the VDOE psychology? This was one of the resources. And it is also on the division of the DOE.
They're perpetuating this lie. At birth, babies look equally at faces of all races. At 3 months, babies look more at faces that match the race of their caregivers. And they've decided that's racism. It's not. It's not. It's literally a function of your eye. It literally just focuses about a fraction of a second quicker on the race of your caregiver. And they only tested white babies. And it's probably from familiarity and contrast. That's all. That's it. It has
Black
nothing
and
to do with
in research by 5 show preference. No, if they're all raised with love, they all play equally together. I see it every day with my 5-year-old. This is like,
it's total bull.
If they've been taught to,
they tell people I have a PhD, I know better than you, and people believe it, but they're lying to you. It's not true.
But this is a big one too that you'll find in these manuals. If you don't know anything about learning for justice, I can guarantee you I'm willing to bet $1 million it's in your school. Because it is a prime Castle Committee for Children, second step. It is a go-to. And you can look it up and it is straight up white hate. I mean, it is, they make a pledge. Like this is in classes in school. But this is the one I wanted to show you is that here, like this is another one that's linked, is that they tell you they want to, instead of the castle, this is why we talked about why this manual is frightening, is because they're already saying that transformative SEL is too white. I'm not a prophet, but I'm telling you, if this manual was linked by Cardona, because this is what they want to, this is the castle lens of justice. That's what they want it to look like, is they want to shrink the social emotional learning down. And then they want to expand all the other little tiny stuff, because transformative is still not anti-racist enough to have white people teaching that they like everything that we know is wrong. That's not good enough. So the fact that this was linked in the roadmap to opening that blue ESSER one should be alarming. Go find it. I will share it. But but for you, with you have the PDF tab, you can click on all those and it will take you immediately to the site, so you can share all of them with everybody. But that is is that when something like that pops up, you should pay attention to why is this here? If we already have the most racist form of SEL, we can't. Nope. We don't. Like, there are plenty of groups out there that say that transformative SEL is still too white, based on whiteness. So it's so pay attention to that.
They're going to just do that to everything, and they keep softening us up to tolerate. And this micro school we showed you today is, I think, the pinnacle of it. It first of all, they're stress testing our tolerance for this kind of discrimination. I firmly believe that and a lot of this gender stuff is stress testing how much we are willing to lie to each other, to ourselves, to everybody around us about what reality is.
It's desensitizing.
Out of fear. I don't want people to judge me, so I'm going to lie about reality.
Yeah.
No, sure. I can buy that there's like a million different genders, and that, maybe your doctor got it wrong, and that, children should be on a gender journey diagnosed by some surveys at school as to what gender journey they should be on, and a total stranger who doesn't know them and has obviously no vested interest whatsoever except a contract with the local plastic surgeon who's made $20 million removing healthy breasts from teenage girls. No, I'm sure there's no conflict of interest there at all. It's just, a journey. And we all know it's BS, and we all know it's barbaric, Mengele level mutilation. And people are just like more interested in fitting in and not upsetting anyone and not getting canceled and not having everybody look askance at me and, oh, they're going to judge me. I don't want to get judged on social media, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
If you don't believe me,
obviously I don't care about any of
that.
The
World Economic Forum, look it up. I have the manual. Did the new vision for education. Now, what do you think a bunch of globalists fostering social and emotional learning through technology? Do you know how many times artificial intelligence is mentioned in here? So virtual reality, like you want anybody to tell you what it's worse than the UN. The UN has one too. This is the scariest thing I've read in a long time. But it's called the World Economic Forum, March 2016. New vision for education, fostering social and emotional learning through technology.
Yeah, through technology.
In 2016. So if you don't think that this was planned, and that's why the 2016 election disrupted it all, and I'm going to go down that hole, is that I think that they had it planned in 2016. So they had to, but it's big. And that's why is that I will do this unapologetically, because nothing worse can happen than whatever's going to happen if I keep my mouth shut, because at least I will have made a teeny tiny little impact on the world. But you know what, at the end of the day, no matter what nuke or whatever comes down, or, I will have fought tooth and nail to the death to save my children, and lost a couple friends and a couple crappy family members, but met a couple, a billion amazing people all over this nation and this world, that we lift each other up, because
just homeschool, guys.
Get them out. I used to, when we started these conversations, I think I still believe that I could actually save it, but at this point, maybe for our grandchildren, we can save it.
Maybe we'll see. But in the meantime, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Next week, we'll be back with, next week I'm on vacation. So the week after, we'll be back with a show about the insidious relationships between these companies and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Something like
and
that.
I think,
government.
When are your primaries? They're coming up, right?
We just had ours.
Okay. So Monday, Sloan wanted to wait. We're the Hunt Institute, because the CEO, Javid Siddiqui, was on my school board. As a Republican, the whole 4 years, he was the CEO of Hunt Institute.
Right.
So we're going to go down that rabbit hole, I think Monday maybe. But so that want to talk about, I believe that Chesterfield is the epicenter of hell. They feed people to the different, So, but you're on vacation. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I'm jealous of myself, and I haven't gone yet. I can't wait. So anyway, but thank you, Anne, for catching this, because as a homeschool proponent, I definitely want to protect the integrity of our options, and I don't want the idea of microschool besmirched by government. So maybe we have to come up with a new name for it. But in the meantime, ask questions.
Everybody else does.
We have to do something else. Yeah.
Let's create a bird. All right,
we're gonna have to.
You can tell. But any of you guys that want to find me, Deb knows how, and as long as you're not a crazy person, then she knows that you follow her a little bit. I'm not hard to find. Anne space Tara space wrist, terrorist. Ha ha ha.
And this is the website.
That's not my nonprofit, but it's not just Virginia, because that's one thing is that I've been trying. The county 6 months ago told me to suck it when I tried to unite this state, because they still thought they could win state by. Now they want to listen to me, but it's far bigger than that. And we always put, I have all 50 states opt out forms for SEL. Now don't just opt them out and then leave it to be. Nope.
Exactly.
I'm putting together, Coupa, how to find your kids' data. You can actually find it. How to opt them out, and we're putting all that up. So it's not just Virginians for Children's First, but I could not do
Yeah.
America for Children's First because I don't have it in me. Because right now, I wish I could save the world. But
yeah, imagine what we could do. Imagine what we could do if we did have, a secret hidden donor.
dude, I can't even we're struggling. People are like, thank you so much for what you did. And I'm like, can you give me $5? And I don't want to get paid. I just want to be able to do
please.
this.
I put stuff. I tried it for less than a week. Less than a week. I tried putting one of my videos that I thought was really, really important. I had it live for free. And then I said, okay, I'll put it behind the paywall on the Substack. And I got so much shade because they're like, I thought this was a public service and you were helping parents, whatever. And I'm like, okay, you're right. I mean, I do want to help everybody, but this is $500 worth of software a year that I just pulled out of my pocket and paper. I do this and it's all great and everything, but I do think that people get very demanding about the stuff that you're doing. Well, you did it. Why don't you share it for free? And I'm like, sure, you're welcome.
I'm like, Anne, can you come over here? Can you do this? And
you want to be my production assistant?
I'm a
you want to be a volunteer a couple days a week? I could use the help, but in the meantime, I do appreciate those people who have supported me. You miniature Koch brothers, you and Ego Brain is my official Koch sister.
Ego Brain, are you Bill Gates?
I think Ego Brain is.
Do I need to add him to my list? Because by the time you get back from vacation, I'm gonna have an infograph and everything. One of those pretty doodly ones that they sell you with.
Ego Coke.
There you go.
Oh my God. And poor Ego Brain is probably sitting there going let me go in the couch cushions. Let me go in the couch cushions and get this month's donation. Anyway, all right. I'm done now. Thank you guys.
Onaj, it's Virginia. And I am a veteran's wife, but no, it's Virginians for Children's First, but VAFCF. But I see, but it's .org. And
there you go.
You can find me, but it's not hard to find me. I don't hide who I am. For those of you that are like, "That's not your real name," and I'm like, "No, my name's Anne Taydus. I don't hide that. It's funny. It's cute. I'm not." But
all right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
Right.
We'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.